Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a thriller film, Rent a Pal. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with David, a lonely bachelor in his 40s, watching another set of tapes from Video Rendezvous, which is a video dating service. David takes note of these women's preferences, and some catch his attention. However, as soon as he hears about their preferences for men, David sighs heavily, as he does not even come close. To distract himself from disappointment, David goes up to take care of his dementia-ridden mother. After feeding his mother, David does all the household chores. David has been a full-time caregiver to his mother after the passing of his late father. When finishing his work inside and outside the house, David calls the video dating service and inquires if any women have chosen him as their match since the last call 6 months ago. The rendezvous specialist delivers the disappointing news that no one has requested to connect with him yet. This saddens and lowers David's confidence, as it has been 6 months and no one has chosen him. So the specialist suggests he come to their location and record an updated dating profile tape. David goes down to their location without further question and agrees to tape a new dating profile. The cameraman records David twice, because the men's dating profile must not exceed 30 seconds, and David's first video exceeds the time limit. Apparently, more men than women are using the video dating service, which is why women's videos are much longer. After updating his dating profile, David goes to the specialist's desk and pays for another set of videotapes to watch later. The specialist receives a call from another customer, so David wanders his eyes around the desk to kill some time. As he does so, his eyes land on the bargain bin, which contains more videotapes. One videotape catches his attention, because it's the only one entitled differently, Rent a Pal. David purchases the videotape, comes home right away, and plays it. The host is a bearded guy, called Mr. Beard. He then greets David, who talks to the viewer, and leaves in pauses to allow the audience to simulate a real-life conversation. David shuts off the television, as he hears the fire alarm beeping. He goes upstairs, and puts out the small fire in the kitchen caused by his mother. David is used to these minor incidents around the house, so he knows very well what to do. However, he cannot help but wonder and be pissed off, because he is old enough to have a wife and family. But he has stuck caring for his mother. After a long tiring day of taking care of his mother, David spends his night in the basement, drinking alcohol while trying to be enthusiastic, as he exchanges pleasantries and life stories with Mr. Beard. The following day, David receives the good news of a woman named Lisa, wanting to meet him after watching his updated tape. The specialist invites him to come to their location to process everything, and without further ado, David goes there. David cannot hide his happiness and excitement as he reaches the desk, where the specialist gives him Lisa's tape. However, when the time comes that he needs to pay, David realizes that he left his wallet at home, because he left in such a hurry. David rushes out of there, returns home, takes his wallet, and drives back to the location. However, the specialist informs him that Lisa has matched with someone else while he was away. This devastates David, because if he had not just left his wallet at home, he would have met this wonderful woman. He goes home and plays Lisa's tape, only to be more devastated and disappointed upon hearing that she likes jazz music and is a professional caregiver. So to distract himself from the adverse feelings, he continues watching Rent a Pal. As Mr. Beard continues to talk to him like they have known each other for years, David confides in him. David's mother, like Mr. Beard's, was physically and verbally abusive, and it is a true wonder that they both did not turn out to be disturbed maniacs. David's father was a successful jazz musician, but he died a decade ago, and since then, he has been taking care of his mother. His mom was a lot better before she got dementia, despite her abusiveness. Mr. Beard changes the topic to having a partner, which David does not have. David shares how long he has been using video dating services, and how devastated and disappointed he was when his match, Lisa, found someone else. After him, Mr. Beard shares his story of how a girl lied about being sick to avoid going to the senior prom with him. Mr. Beard tells his experience with much feeling that David feels so connected to him. After sharing his story, Mr. Beard convinces David that he is his friend through ups and downs, worst and best moments, everything. He convinces him that he does not need a girl to be happy, he just needs a friend. And so, to celebrate their newfound friendship, Mr. Beard and David make a toast and drink. David continuously and repeatedly watches the tape, virtually talking, drinking, and playing cards with Mr. Beard, like they are friends hanging out in real life. During one of his views, Mr. Beard convinces David to share his most embarrassing story or experience in his life, and so David does. David was in 6th grade, and there was this girl he had a crush on. David wrote her a love note, which the girl really liked. However, the other kids saw the exchange and bullied David. They started writing her letters too, which slowly became sexually disturbing and threatening. They left the notes in her locker, lunchbox, and homework, and one of the teachers found one of the notes. His crush knew he did not write the letters, but she kept her mouth shut, even when he got suspended for 3 days for inappropriate behavior. The event left David with trust issues with everyone. He stopped socializing with other students and became a loner. This prompts Mr. Beard to share an embarrassing story of his own from his college days. At first, his story seems to be a normal embarrassing experience until Mr. Beard begins detailing it sexually, causing David to please himself with his hormone let-go hand. But before he can juice himself, David's mother shouts in disgust as she catches him. She mistakenly sees her son as her late husband, causing her to be demented. As she gets more aggressive, David, fed up with his life, shouts to his demented mother that her husband has been dead for a long time. This causes her to break down, and David calms down as soon as he sees his mother's state. He recants his last remarks and comforts his mother by telling her that her husband is still alive and well. Later that night, David receives a call from Video Rendezvous, informing him that Lisa's previous match did not work out, and she would like to go on a date with him. The specialist gives him the details of where to meet her, and David anxiously awaits her arrival the following day. The two spend their date at a roller arcade, where their personalities and experiences immediately click. They share experiences about being a caregiver, and the date ends successfully. Lisa gives her number to David and set up another date for the following evening. As they part their ways, David excitedly returns to the house and tells Mr. Beard all about Lisa. However, instead of being happy that his friend finally has someone in his life, Mr. Beard is strangely angered by what he heard. He accuses David of casting him aside and forgetting about their plan to play cards. He gaslights David, causing David to cancel the date the following day, using his ill mother as an excuse. David spends his night playing cards with Mr. Beard, but he is obviously forcing himself to be happy. David goes upstairs for a drink and takes a break, only to discover that the front door is open and his mother has wandered out of the home. This makes him frantic because his mother is old and her mental state is not stable. David leaves the house and drives recklessly to places she would have gone to, but he is unable to find her. Because of this, David considers calling 911, but after seeing a Polaroid picture of his first date with Lisa, he calls her instead. He is in a panic as he tells her what happened, but Lisa remains calm, and with her help, they locate her and return her home. Although it is not the way he planned to see her again, David takes the opportunity and shows Lisa the basement, which has become his room. David shares his father's music with her because he knows that Lisa loves jazz music. As they are alone, the two begin to charge their hormones on the couch, with Lisa initiating the first move. They tongue kiss each other, during which David sits on the remote and accidentally turns Rent a Pal on. A judging face and beard of Mr. Beard reveals on the screen, and he watches the two's intimate moment while squinting his eyes. Lisa's hand begins to caress David's thighs, sending chilling hormones down his spine with sudden pleasure. This causes Mr. Beard to laugh his beard off hysterically, alerting Lisa. David quickly turns off the television and tries to dismiss it. But Lisa questions him. She repeatedly asks him, but David becomes angry and defensive, instead of giving an answer or explanation. His reaction ruins what is supposedly a romantic night for them, prompting Lisa to leave. The following day, David goes on with his life, taking care of his mother and cleaning the house. As he does so, he finds a picture in his mom's room, featuring him with a man that looks identical to Mr. Beard. This reminds him of the tape, so he looks for it. However, he cannot find it everywhere. But he soon notices and realizes that his mother has stolen the Rent a Pal tape, mistaking it for a Scotch tape, causing her to cut and destroy it. This pushes David to the edge that he strikes his own mother across the face with the broken tape, knocking her to the ground. David screams at his poor mother, who can only let out cries of pain for taking everything from him. Still enraged, David drives to the Video Rendezvous location and aggressively repurchases another Rent a Pal tape from a customer. After that, he returns home and sighs in relief as he replays the tape. After rewatching Mr. Beard, David returns upstairs, helps his mother stand up and walk, and puts her at the top of the basement stairwell. After years of taking care of her, David's mother finally recognizes her son. However, he coldly whispers into her ears that she is the reason her husband killed himself. After that, he pushes her down the stairs, grievously injuring her. David looks down at his mother, with no emotion on his face, and just leaves her there, crying and wailing in pain. Soon after, all the television in the house begins to play Rent a Pal, as Mr. Beard expresses his excitement to be his friend. All the television stops when David hears Lisa's voice. Lisa wants to make amends for what happened the previous night and even brings dinner as a peace offering. However, David's replies weird her out because he starts to talk like Mr. Beard. Not long after coming in, Lisa hears David's mother's cries for help, causing her to drop the food on the cold floor. She rushes to the top of the basement and discovers her body, terrifying her. Lisa immediately takes the phone to call the police and ambulance, but David stops her, still speaking like Mr. Beard. Lisa tries to leave, but she slips on the food, and David uses the broken Rent-A-Pal tape to strangle her. Lisa fights back, freeing herself from the disturbed maniac David has become, and stabs him in the chest with a pair of scissors. As David falls down on the kitchen floor, Lisa goes out and shouts for help. As she does so, David drags himself to the basement, and fast-forwards the new Rent-A-Pal tape to the end. The film ends with David watching Mr. Beard melancholically saying goodbye to the viewer, that their journey has ended. As the television turns static, David bleeds out to his death. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.